Sort of break it down like this.
Gang Hang, good morning and welcome. My name's Matt Baum, one of the hosts of Two-Headed Nerd Comic Book Podcast. Next to me, Mr. Joe Patrick is joining us. We're ganging, we're hanging. We do it on Saturdays. The Discord kids show up and we talk about whatever. This morning, JD, old buddy of ours, came in talking smack about, well, not talking smack, but he's all fired up on the Toxic Avenger trailer. I figured we should start this show by watching it together and we'll react. It's fun. Here we go. Let me share my screen. Here we go.
Don't grunt while you do it.
Yeah, the grunting makes it sound real. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We read that erotic romance comic this week, so Matt's been pretty
There are still
I
no
don't.
leads as to the identity of the
The freaky folk hero remains at large. Sir, what did you see last night?
I heard gunshots, saw blood. Handsome fella had his arm tore off like wet bread, and the creature run off into the night.
Wet bread.
fucked up hot dog.
That part was very shocking to me.
Can we put that out? Anyone that may have encountered the strain. Breaking news, a group of armed extremists, the Nasty Lads, they've taken hostages at a Miss-Meat lunchatorium downtown.
Let's go live.
We are the Nasty Lads! We are angry!
The Nasty Lads.
Nasty Lads nail nickname.
Who the fuck are you?
The sounds.
Toxic Avenger.
That's what the kids are calling him. I think it's swell.
Oh boy. So, the Toxic Avenger. It looks like they nailed it. Like, I'm not worried at all.
I think it is.
Right?
No, the Paul Verhoeven-esque little commercial, like the newscast, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So Peter Dinklage is Toxie, is that right?
Peter Dinklage is your Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that is a great move. That's very interesting.
I love
if you're
it.
going to recast. Yeah.
I love it.
That's
I-
awesome.
Well, so my question is: Are they going to keep him at his height, or are they going to use forced perspective?
He looked small.
in every scene.
I think
when
they're
he
making
showed
him
up in the
small.
doorway, he looked small.
Yeah, I think they're
Like he
making him
looked
small,
like a little
Yeah.
person.
which I'm
Yeah.
fine with. I
Yeah.
love it. You know.
So I will say it's not a spoiler of this at all, but I did see some reactions, and I think that is confirmed. That is accurate.
Yeah, he's going to be a little guy.
Yeah,
Which-
there's no CG magic or whatever, at that point. But it's all practical effects, though. The actual Toxie stuff too. So,
And I think that would
I
be
think
like
it'd be cool if they went the way.
yeah,
I don't
no, it's
I don't
cool.
think
Yeah.
I don't think that Dinklage would be cool with them casting him and then kind of doing camera trickery to make him look like.
Well, they already did that in Love and Thunder.
I mean,
so.
they did it in
did.
not Love
Thor.
and Thunder,
Yeah.
Infinity War, right? Or Infinity War.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Infinity War.
I mean-
It was at the war.
I mean, he was a dwarf, right? It
Yeah.
just so happens that these dwarves are 20 feet tall. But
Right.
yeah,
I was just thinking of it in the aspect of it doing it in a self-aware way, where it was like bad camera trickery the whole time.
I'd be okay with that too. Yeah, that would be
You know,
fine.
Yeah, but they went that way.
In a trauma way, rather than doing a wink and a nod, like, hey, we know this guy's a small person, but we're gonna it's just I don't know. I was just thinking they could be cool either way. I like the fact that they're keeping they cast him for a reason. He's a great actor and he's gonna be really good in the role. So.
Oh yeah.
I want to throw something also on that same thing with a spoiler, which is why also it intrigued me beyond the fact that I also love that film, even though I was watching it probably younger than I should have.
Sure.
But yeah, no, apparently they're going to make him even more sympathetic as far as, what his motivations are. Apparently in this version, he has a kid as well. And in fact, a lot of where he ends up, what's happening to him is because he's trying to, better himself for his kid.
Oh,
So that could be
okay.
interesting.
I mean, like, look,
Toxie Jr.
The Toxic Avenger didn't exactly age well. If we go back and watch it, like he was more or less like handicapped exploitation, if you will, back then. So that doesn't play so well anymore. So I think that's a good take. I think it's a good updated take. It looks bloody as hell. It looks like they are very much leaning into the spirit of the Troma movies, which great. I love that shit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're great movies, but they are wonderful for what they did. And the amount of people that came out of Troma Studios is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Kabuki Cop?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Kabuki Cop. Oh, yeah. Tromeo and Juliet is one of the worst films ever made. If you've ever seen it, it is truly something.
It's bad. But it's also good because it's so bad.
Yes.
So.
Yes. They knew what they were doing. No, I think this looks wonderful, though, and I can't wait. I love it. And I love Dinklage, and I love that he's willing to do shit like this and poke fun at the genre and at himself, but know that it's going to be handled well. Speaking of the short guy here, it makes my heart grow in my chest, okay? So we had a lot of, what else we got? We had a new comic show this week. Anybody read any of the comics we reviewed? I would love to discuss Ultimate Invasion, because I'm still not...
Hey, whoa! Like,
I'm still not 100 on what happened.
I don't get it.
And I looked right at it. Like, I read the words, I saw the pictures.
Yeah, I read it. I read it all. I read all 4 issues.
I did the thing, and at the end, I guess the question was like, does this mean the Ultimate Universe is back? And
yes,
I mean. Yeah.
There's no question. Matt, there's no question about it.
No, I know, but it was like a resounding, like, I guess so.
I mean, if you mean like, are we like, hooray, the Ultimate Universe is back?
No,
like,
that's where I'm at. Like,
I mean, it's more like, yay,
this is
the
not
Ultimate Universe is back.
But it's also like not that Ultimate Universe. This is a new.
No, it's a different universe.
Yeah, it's a new Ultimate Universe. So fine.
And so, all right, look, if you haven't read Ultimate Invasion and you care to, spoilers ahead, because I'm unpacking some stuff here. I know that JD doesn't normally care about spoilers, but the rest of you've been warned.
Correct.
I don't care at this point. I'm on JD's schedule.
And they already announced that there's an Ultimate Spider-Man book coming that he's working. So the cat's out of the bag, kids.
Well, we don't know that we don't know that it's Peter is the thing, because of the scene at the beginning of Ultimate. The scene at the end of Ultimate Invasion 1 implies that Peter Parker did not get bitten, and thus is not Spider-Man.
But hold up. Are we in that world now? Are we still there?
I think that the Maker's act of preventing Peter from getting bitten by the spider is part of what altered the timeline and made it a completely different timeline. Because we know that it went from being Earth 1610 to Earth 6160.
Right.
And so, like, the Maker changed the timeline. This is a completely different timeline. So it might not be Peter. Tony Stark is not Iron Man. He's Iron Lad.
Right.
And he's almost certainly also Kang. Because it's the same armor and a different color scheme.
Yeah, and Kang,
we know that Iron Man becomes Kang.
And Iron Man shows up in that Kang armor, purple and green, and he says, "Oh, I know what this is. This is my origin." Right there.
But Iron Man is Howard, but he sacrifices himself to like stop the Maker or whatever. But there's also this very like intensely different geopolitical situation where it's like this cabal of, it's like an Illuminati, but it's representatives, superhuman representatives from each of the major countries or territories.
Right.
Because like America is not America, it's some other kind of thing. And Colossus and Ilyana rule Russia, and there's a weird Captain Britain, and Khonshu is walking around like as a dude.
Well, there's it's weird. But there's Khonshu and like two other guys too.
It was like Khonshu and one other guy. Yeah. And so it's very, very strange. It's like when the Ultimate Universe started to get way, way different, like a second American Civil War. And now America is chopped up into weird territories. And also there's multiple Infinity Gauntlet. And so I'm a little bit worried about that.
Well,
so I don't know. It's Hickman though. So
okay,
Hickman
at the same
wasn't doing
time,
it at that point.
you can't go back to that. They left it in it's such a mess. The universe is destroyed.
Well,
Everything is
sure.
ruined.
I know that they can't just go back to like it's the ultimate universe, but slightly different.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to have a hook.
It's a new take on the ultimate universe, and I don't think it's around forever. I think this is going to be Jonathan Hickman messing around for a bit and some miniseries. But
so next week, October. I think it's next week. It's either the 4th or the 11th. There is an Ultimate Universe one shot. And it's basically it's Tony in the Iron Lad armor. The 6160 Reed Richards, who dresses like Dr. Doom but blue instead of green. And like Thor, and like they're going around and recruiting. So like Sif is there. They unfreeze Captain America. And so I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're like going back in time and trying to like reestablish a timeline.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
It's
like,
hard to know. And I read it.
I don't know. I
right
really
at
have no clue. I don't I don't know. I don't know.
It was pretty. I'll say that. Brian Hitch, man, it was pretty.
The one shots being drawn by Stefano Caselli, who is an amazing artist,
great.
And I love him.
JD, you were saying.
So I'm looking at issue 1 right now because it just came out on Unlimited this week. And the one spoiler that I've got to know is, does Black Panther keep those disconcerting yellow eyes through the whole series?
Oh, you don't
doesn't show up after this.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
After this, it's all in the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
Okay, because those just distracted the hell out of me through the whole first issue.
Yeah. Brian Hitch does.
What is up with those eyes?
Brian Hitch does a lot of things really, really well, and then he does some things that are so disturbing, like that are so weird that I find them off-putting.
Yeah.
One of them is like the Black Panther face is bad. The second thing is I hate how he draws superhero costumes so that you can see the impressions of everybody's individual toes. Stop it. I don't want to see Spider-Man's toes.
Toes and teeth?
Yeah,
that's your big issues, huh? Mike Deodato's teeth and
toes and teeth,
it's just like I get it. It's a form-fitting costume, but I don't need to see like his big toe is slightly elevated and you're like, stop.
Yeah.
Quit it.
It's weird.
It breaks the illusion for me.
Yeah, it's weird.
It makes me think that everyone's running around in footy pajamas.
Yeah. That's like, no. you know, there's a reason why people don't even like get in wrestling rings barefoot, except unless you're a crazy person. It's because your toes are going to get hurt, you know? Like, don't do it.
Like they're walking around like ruins, the ruins of buildings and stuff. And it's like, you're like, wearing no kind of protection.
Right. Like Birkenstocks are probably better protection. Don't do that.
So it was a good series, but the ending, This is a rare situation where I thought, you know what, this probably could have used another issue or two. It probably could have been 6 issues.
Maybe. I think, because unless they are padding this in such a way that it's like, no, they don't want to do that because they want us to go into the new universe as sort of confused and discovering things with, Tony Stark. Where he doesn't know the rules,
fair.
And he doesn't know
that's
what's
fair.
happening. And I guess that's what they're going for. But at the same time, it's like you did so much stuff in the first 2 issues alone, where I was just like, oh man, that changes everything. Oh wow, that changes everything. And now I don't know if that stuff is still changed or not. Like I don't know what reverted and what didn't because Hickman. But yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't know. I'm not entirely excited, and I can't say that it was bad. I just don't know what happened. Did anyone else read this? Are we alone here? Brian, did you read this?
No, I haven't read it.
I skimmed it, and I don't know. I didn't really know what to make of it. And then I read that article that Newsrama did where they kind of recap, and it just seems like a lot of effort for who cares. And that
sort of,
I don't know.
Sort of.
I don't have energy in my life anymore for things where it's like, look at all this. It's like, yeah, but why? And then isn't that cool? It's like, like the ultimate result is more Ultimate Comics, and I don't want them. So I don't know. Like it's very much like not for me. So I'm glad Brian Hitch is drawing really well, but like I don't know, like Yeah.
It makes me like, I'm so confused, and like, God love him. If this is what Hickman wants to do and Marvel is just like, yeah, go for it, man. I just don't understand why we're getting so much effort put into something like this.
Right.
Which seems like Hickman's involvement is going to be limited at best. Is he writing Ultimate Spider-Man? I think he is.
Yes, he is writing Ultimate Spider-Man.
And Marco Cheeto is drawing
Marco Cicchetto will be on art.
It was if I remember correctly, it was a Donny Cates like concept. Like the original idea. So in that sort of thing is like, are we doing his version of this? Like, did he get some notes and he's putting the story together? Like, why bother, man?
So
like, what are we doing?
Go
do something else.
It's interesting. On the Unlimited app, in the credits, they list Donny Cates as a co-writer for
was that right?
Vision number 1.
Okay, now
yeah.
I almost think, and look, I love Jonathan Hickman. I'm the only one in the world that seems to be excited about Gods coming out next week. But
I don't think you're actually excited.
No, I mean, not actually the only one. But maybe Donny Cates could have pulled this off better, like a little more fun and a little more succinct, you know?
I mean, I don't know. We'll see what the ultimate. I am excited to read Ultimate Universe number 1 Alpha one shot because I want to know, like,
part 1 of 7.
It seems, yeah, because it seems like they're actually going to do some more world building before the Ultimate Spidey book launches, and that's what I need to. I need to see more of the world. I need to know how this world works.
Yeah.
Outside of that room in the Hellfire Club, right? We got a lot of. It was basically
and all that. Yeah.
It was basically a locked room mystery that took place in 2 rooms: the lab and the Hellfire Club. And I don't really understand what's going on. And so I want to. I'll agree with Matt that like maybe that's by design.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm supposed to be curious.
Hickman loves doing this stuff where it's like Carl Sagan's Cosmos, where he like ropes you in with a few things. You go, wow, the universe is that big, and then like you're in.
Right. But
okay.
there's a fine line between being curious because you don't know everything that's going on and being frustrated because you don't know everything that's going on, and we're right on that edge.
Don't disagree. I do think. Last week we talked a little bit about, and I think this will segue into, further discussion of DC stuff, but we were talking about how DC seems to have taken a breath, stepped back and said, all right, we're going to New Day or Rebirth or whatever we're calling it now, these characters, and just sort of reset them on missions.
It's the dawn of DC. It's not hard. You know what it's called.
I know, but there's just been so many names that it's fun to throw them all out.
Yeah, I know. It's true.
But they're just taking a beat and stepping back and going, all right, here's what John Stewart's doing. Here's what Hal's doing. Here's what, Wally's doing over here.
Hawk Girl.
Here's what Hawk Girl's doing. And they're refreshing, and it's a slightly new take, and there's some new artists that are very exciting. And Marvel is relaunching the Ultimate Universe. Like, okay, all right, thanks, but hey, Spider-Man kind of sucks right now.
This morning.
Like, Spider-Man totally sucks right now. And this is not personal attack or anything. I just don't care for what I'm reading there at all. And I went and I read that Spear of Norman Osborn crap, and I don't care, Joe. I have not enjoyed this run, and like maybe we should be looking.
It's been way up and down.
It's been too up and down. That's the thing, and I don't know. Thor, I read number 2. It's good. I'm having fun, but it feels safe. Feels like Al Ewing doing more Thor that you might remember.
I read number 2 last night, and I thought that I agree that. Even though it's big, cosmic Norsey type happenings, I was like, this does feel very safe in comparison to.
It feels safe.
Immortal Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I will say PKJ's
at
Hulk
only
book,
2 issues in. So.
PKJ's Hulk book is straight up horror, and it is a lot of fun, and they are doing something cool there. But I also think they established we can do that in this Hulk book. Like Al Ewing showed, we can do this. And everybody went, all right, yeah, I'm on board. Now, we read The Flash this week. And The Flash, to me, of these new DC books, felt like the biggest chance that they have taken yet. And like so much so that when I was done with it, I didn't know if I liked it or not. And then we sat down and we both reviewed it on the show. And I went, yes, I really like this. It's wild, but I really like this. And it just seems like they're taking chances. It seems like they're taking more chances, but also staying true to those characters and what they should be doing. Put them in a wacky new adventure, sure. But man, and like we both said, Deodato, the teeth, they're hard.
It comes and goes. Like, I thought the art was largely better. I mean, it was better than I kind of expected. I thought like when I hear like, you know, cosmic horror, blah, 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 I'm like, oh man, like what are they going to do? And I feel like Spurrier managed to hold on to what makes Wally work.
Yes.
While introducing this kind of new stuff in a really valid way of like, yeah, like they take for granted what the Speed Force is. They have no idea.
Right.
You know, like nobody, you know, Speed Force science, like that's an interesting new angle on it. And I was surprised that they pulled it off so well. And that, like, it's, you're not losing the stuff that Jeremy Adams gained. Like, it's still the family. They're still there.
Right.
He's dealing with like the Linda and her, you know, kind of, you know, she's got like a, you know, post natal, like she has like a depression of sorts because she doesn't have her powers anymore. You know, like now she's being left behind, which is an interesting idea that Adams probably would have picked up on at some point. Like we're not in a totally new realm, but hey, there's this thing that we don't really understand, and Max Mercury is there, and he's the perfect guy to get involved in that because he's like a Speed Force scientist without the science, you know, like he's an expert, and he's like, it's like the Speed Force folklore kind of thing. Like he's going to get into it and figure it out. And he is freaked out
and he knows like something.
He knows something's up and it seems bad. And that I think is interesting.
And I like
we haven't really seen that before.
Having Mr. Terrific there as like sort of the Doctor Strange character who knows everything about magic, but he knows everything about science. And when Wally does show up and he's like, so what's going on? And he's like, oh, you know, weird Speed Force crap. And you can just see like him be like,
I love Mr. Terrific being like, there's no rules, Wally. This is nonsense. Something's not right.
Right.
Things don't make any sense. You can't just like skate on like, shrug. Well, Speed Force gotta go by. You know, and so I loved that. I loved Mr. Terrific as that character, as that position in the.
And he was already there. You know, like it's not like
he was already there.
Yeah. You know, it's not a hoxpox where you have to move all these pieces into place to do this thing that you go, oh, I guess this is what we're doing now. Like it really does pick up where it left off with issue 800 and. It's kind of the same status quo with stuff added to it rather than a totally new take and everything, you know, forget everything forget everything you know about it. It's like, oh,
they're building on it instead of knocking it down and trying to build something different, which is a great way to approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of to just final thought on Ultimate Invasion. I think that's the thing that shakes me a little bit because we're getting this. It's a breath of fresh air for Wally. It's a new book. It looks completely different. It's wild. The art, if you didn't pick it up, I suggest just checking out the art. It is wild. And I think we both agreed, Joe.
Lots of copy paste gorillas.
There is a lot of Deodato doing some Deodato stuff that bothers me. But at the same time, I think
it's like only when the art gets too busy. Only when the art gets too crowded, that's when he starts copy pasting.
Yes. And it's like, he can't stop himself, and maybe you just need to settle down a little. He's the most talented artist that I have the most problems with, I think.
Hey, that's what I said.
I know, and I was going to say, we both said this on the show, but it's true. Like, Deodato, when I see his name, I don't get excited, but at the same time, part of me is like, there's a 50% chance that this looks amazing, and there's a 50% chance that he is cutting and pasting and gluing stuff together.
It's like, not everybody, you can recognize an artist's very strong talent,
right,
and still not like what they do. You know, there's a difference between not liking it because it's bad and not liking it because you just don't care for it.
Right. Okay, and so that brings up my next question.
I think he is so talented.
He's wildly talented. So next question, we got Predator versus Wolverine this week. and Greg Land was your artist. Now I'm asking you guys, not Joe, because I know where he stands, but asking for, is Greg Land a talented artist? And I'm not bagging on the man. I'm sure he's a great guy. We're just talking art styles here, so nothing personal, Greg. Is this guy a good artist? Yes or no? That's what I want from you guys.
I feel like Will McAvoy, no, but he used to be. You know,
I don't think that there's a yes or no answer to this question.
I think there is, because I think he is good. He used to be great, and now his style is such that I don't even want to look at it.
But Matt, that's not a yes or no answer. That is a.
I agree.
That's like saying we have a 3-point rating system that's got 1,000 different degrees to it.
But my answer is no. I don't think he's good anymore. That's my answer.
I think that Greg Land is an artist that is very talented, but also phones it in. I think Greg Land is a lazy artist.
I don't disagree. Brian, you were...
Yeah, that's a good word for it, lazy.
He clearly... I don't know if he's literally tracing, but it looks like he is.
Yeah.
That's always been my
he reuses this.
Hold on.
He reuses the same character faces time and time again.
Damon, what were you just saying?
All I was going to say, that's exactly what Joe was saying, was what I've always kind of not always enjoyed his art for that reason, even though I know it's still technically very good. There is a lot of tracing, and I think it's just gotten more and more dependent on it, like you said, when he phones it in. I think unfortunately it happened in these Wolverine issues.
Man, and just literally copying and pasting a Predator onto an orca that you traced, or a photo referenced, wild cat that's leaping at the Predator. It just looks like you just outlined it, grabbed it, and used your Photoshop and dropped it in there. And look, the Predator's fighting it, like a bad YouTube thumbnail or something. Right?
Yeah, I think so I've been kind of scouring eBay lately for original artwork and seeing what's out there. And there's a bunch of his old Nightwing stuff. So he was the artist
Nightwing,
after,
I bet. Sojourn, you can find
McDaniel.
Sojourn pages, I bet.
And so I've seen a lot of the old stuff in the last couple of days, and it wasn't I love Scott McDaniel's take so much that I kind of, and I also, after 40 issues, was looking for an off ramp. So I didn't stick with it, but when you look at it, you can see the talent. It's not a style that I really loved, and he did a bunch of Birds of Prey stuff that looked nice. And
it was beautiful.
It's good, but when you look, and it's really been since his X-Men run with Brubaker and Fraction, it is soulless.
Yeah.
There is no life to it.
Yeah.
There's no energy to it. It just it's technically work is being done.
It was cranked out off of an assembly line. Is what it looks like.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like anything, and it makes you it's almost in Uncanny Valley-ish of
yes.
What am I looking at?
Yes.
It just makes you feel weird, and it's
he was doing AI art before AI art existed, right? Where you go to ChatGPT and you're like, I need a picture of young Wolverine fighting a Predator. And it's here you go, and then you hold it up next to Greg Land and you go, I can't tell which is which, right?
And to know that there's been people have done the articles where they figure out where which is
I am certain that I've read on Bleeding Cool
and all that stuff.
Which lingerie catalog did he get this face?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
didn't he get a lot from porn?
Oh yeah,
lots of porn.
Yeah,
he did.
And it's what are we doing, man? Why are you doing that? And who is buying this? And who wants this? And who, how, why, what? It's a lot of questions.
Yeah. If I were to put on my Matt Bomb cap for a second, I think that I think what's happened is that over the years, he found that he could make himself valuable to Marvel as an artist that can crank shit out.
Totally.
You need something drawn, and that they're going to hit their deadlines, and he can probably get right back to a new project after project, back to back. Greg Land, because he cheats.
He's got a digital process that is so fast that he can just fire it out. No problem.
And I think that he's made himself valuable in that context. Yeah. I think he's a tool that Marvel uses to put out
He's a tool, all right.
What a tool! No, we're not getting personal.
There's got to be a market where people do like, I mean, he does so many. If his variant covers weren't moving the dial, they wouldn't hire him to do it. So there are, we know there are tons of people who are fans of, at the very least, purchasers of the material with horrible taste.
I think there is, and I'm not saying internet.
It's the same people that were super horny about the Greg Horn, electro covers and stuff.
And I'm not saying that going to internet comics threads and reading through them is the best way to put your finger on the pulse because you get so many trolls. But like, if you go to Reddit comics and read this, what the people are saying about this Wolverine Predator thing, or read like League of Comic Geeks, where people go in and leave their little reviews and stuff like that. There's no one on there is like getting super trolly, like, I wish this guy would die. Good. Thank you for controlling yourselves. But I didn't see anyone on there that was like, fuck yeah, that Greg Land flashback kicked ass. Everyone was like, I really liked Ken Lashley. That was cool. And then Greg Land shows up. I don't understand. Like, do people, and they're saying the same thing I am.
He surfs on a killer whale.
Do people like this guy? And no one is being like, how dare you talk about Greg Land like that? I mean, like, get it.
I don't want to keep bashing on him, but yeah, I think it's puzzling, and I think that like there's a difference between what Greg Land does, which is, like Brian said, it's technically competent.
Right.
He does, like, I can't do what he does, and it must have some value for Marvel. So, but there's a difference between what Greg Land is doing and what Mike Deodato is doing when he's copy pasting gorillas. Like, you can literally, like, that picture, that panel in The Flash where the gorillas are getting arrested or rounded up or whatever, and they're holding their hands up. They are literally the same. They're all exactly the same. Yeah. And, but the rest of the book is gorgeous, right? Yeah. Like, you can see that he put in work. And I just don't.
There's a difference where you can. And part of it is that, we've been reading for so long that we've seen the transition for Deodato, like.
Yes. Deodato, we've seen him transition into this. And like Greg Land, I can't pinpoint when it happened, but it happened suddenly. And all of a sudden he was a different guy.
It was, I think, Ultimate Fantastic Four. I think it's the first time.
Yeah, real bad.
Ultimate Fantastic Four, which was many moons ago. It was almost 20 years ago. Well, no, but it was a long time ago.
Sure.
And
it was more than that,
it was 15 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And that's the first time that I really noticed it's like, why do all these women, why does Sue Storm look like she's in the throes of ecstasy?
Yeah.
Every time she's shouting at Namor or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's the first time I was like, oh no.
Let's see, I need a female model for Sue Storm. What should I Google? How about female orgasm? Let's see what comes up. Whoa.
And I think he's carried that. He has carried that from that to every project he's been on since, and it's gotten worse. It went, like Brian said, it went to the Brubaker stuff.
Oh, it's so bad.
The Brubaker X-Men stuff, and now here we are, Predator versus Wolverine, and. Yeah, man,
it's a baffling choice. It's a baffling for a huge book. Yeah, it's a baffling choice to me.
And with the Deodato stuff, because we had a period with Deodato where we had to get through it. Like Savage. He did the Savage Avengers, right? Like
yes.
At the very beginning, and it looked you can see the beginning of this then, but he's gotten better. Like he's figured out how to be a little more organic, and I feel like he's enjoying himself doing this. Like
I agree.
Some of the Flash stuff is crazy. Like those layouts are really interesting and
panels
complicated
within panels
and like
within panels is bonkers.
It's really like there's like a beautiful chaos to it where it's like, okay, this is someone trying really hard to do something interesting, where Greg Land's like, yeah, what's next, guys? Like, it's just, it doesn't feel like
Greg Land moves color forms around, on a background.
Yeah. And he was good at one point. He had a really interesting style, and now it has been really bad for a really long time.
I do think he still has way more fans than we like he's like the Nickelback of comics, where you're like, nobody likes Nickelback. God, that band's terrible. They're embarrassing.
Right.
And then Nickelback shows up in your town. They play the biggest venue there. They sell it out 2 times over, and they have to schedule 3 more shows. You know, and you're like, what is happening?
It's like trying to figure out why, you know, something like The Big Bang Theory was the most popular TV show on show on television.
I will say that
15 straight years. It's like, well, because for every person that hates it, there's 20 that love it.
There has to be. Otherwise, you don't put his name on a Predator vs. Wolverine book.
Yeah.
I was going to say, but Greg Land's line is usually pretty big to get Prince over at cons, if you guys remember.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. And nothing personal against the guy. I'm sure he's a great guy. And nothing personal against you if you like his style. I would just like to hear from somebody like, what is it that you like? What does it for you? And is it just like, I don't know, I think pictures look neat. That's fine. I'm not going to yuck your yum. Good for you. You know, I just don't get it.
We've been yucking yums for the last 42 minutes, man.
It's true. It's true.
Oh, please listen. That's not a yum anyone can enjoy. Just you can enjoy terrible food. Just don't expect anyone to agree with you. It's fine. Just do your thing.
It's like really enjoying the flavor of your toothpaste. That doesn't mean you should swallow it. You know.
It's like you eat nothing but Soylent, right? That.
Oh yeah,
that food replacement shit that was popular for a while. It's like, it tastes like nothing to me. I love it, and that's all you is. It's like, okay, well, I guess.
Yes, he's the Taco Bell of Mexican food.
Matt,
sure.
JD, you were saying.
To spin it positive, Matt. I wanted to piggyback off what you were saying about DC versus Marvel, because I told Brian at the beginning of the episode before we started rolling that I'm actually excited to talk about a DC book today.
Yeah, which one? What do you got?
I took you guys' advice.
Birds of Prey,
I took you guys' advice, and I read the first 2
Son of a
trades
bitch,
of World's
JD,
Finest.
you had one job.
Okay, stop yelling at him.
Kelly Thompson book at
What did you read?
I read World's Finest.
Oh, World's Finest.
Oh, nice.
And how do we feel about it?
I loved it. I loved it. It was great.
Were you confused about it?
Definitely. No, I actually wasn't.
I think it's
no. I was. I mean, there were a few.
It's a good on ramp.
Yeah,
and because it's Mark Waid, he knows what he's doing. The guy's a scientist of comics, basically.
Right, and I mean, I was a little confused because I felt like Robin was drawn and acted more like Tim than Dick, but that's okay. That's just because I think Tim is the only Robin I ever read. So
I think does he have Tim's costume, or does he have the pixie boots?
Kind of.
No,
yeah,
he's got he's got a modernized version of the original costume.
Okay, yeah. So
I believe was designed by Chris Somney. And so it's reminiscent of the original costume without him wearing basically underpants and fairy boots.
Right.
Well, and they even call it out at one point when he's hanging out with Supergirl. She goes, "Are those pants?" He goes, "I'm trying something new." You know?
yeah. That was great.
They're aware. But the other thing is he uses the staff, which I don't remember Dick ever using before pre-Nightwing. But
that's definitely
okay.
a very Tim thing. Tim was a staff guy.
Of the modernization. Yeah, he was of the modernization. The way I described it was I felt it had a very animated series vibe.
Yeah, totally agree.
It felt like watching the Justice League Unlimited.
Right.
You know, to me, because I do like the fact that everybody in the Justice League is featured pretty prominently. Yeah. It's definitely got me inspired to go back and check out more Doom Patrol, because their appearance in that first arc was really cool.
The new series by Dennis Culver, by Dennis Culver and who's the artist? Is it Nick Bradshaw? No,
it's Chris Burnham.
Chris Burnham.
Yeah, the new Doom Patrol series, Unstoppable Doom Patrol. It's really good
and it's fun, and there's no rules at all, because it's just like, okay, here's the things that everybody liked about several different Doom Patrols. They all live in the same house. Go.
Nice.
Awesome.
You know, something that I am appreciating about Dawn of DC in general, but specifically the Wade stuff. It's that you can tell a story that's got a bunch of characters in it that maybe not everybody knows, but you're not punishing them for not knowing. Like, you're reading the first 2 arcs of World's Finest, which means we're getting into stuff where, like, oh, the Metal Men show up, and it's Metamorpho is here, and he doesn't like spend pages and pages and pages like giving you all the information about the Metal Man. It's just like all you really need to know. And I realize that superhero comics fans are already kind of pre-equipped to do this, but all you really need to understand is that they live in a universe where heroes exist. And it's the same thing that James Gunn's going to do, allegedly, is that like Superman lives in a world where there's a guy that turns into helium. It's like, just go with it.
And honestly, you don't want to know more about the Metal Men because they're dumb.
Shut up.
I'm saying it. They are dumb. I have never read a Metal Man comic where I was like, all right, that was good.
There's stories with huge, rich, supporting casts, but you don't have to know all of the minutia about everything.
Yeah.
And that's
I gotta say,
great.
Yeah, this was great. I love this experiment. I'm actually inspired. I might pause the Lake House for a little bit and change it to DCI for the Marvel guy or something.
Nice.
And write some reviews of
the DC Houseboat. I think is
dip my toes into the distinguished competition for a while, just to balance the scales and because to be perfectly honest, my all-time favorite comic book of all time by default is technically a DC book. So, because it's Planetary.
What is that? Oh, Planetary. Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's
technically speaking, right?
So, real quick,
it's got a DC.
On the James Gunn front, we just mentioned that James Gunn announced the actors that are definitely going to appear as the same characters in the new DC universe. And we got Peacemaker, John Cena, Amanda Waller I can't remember the actress's name now. She's wonderful.
Viola Davis.
Viola Davis, thank you. And who is the other one? Blue Beetle. Zola's going to be there.
Yolo Madernia or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it.
No mention.
Yolo.
No mention of Momoa. No mention.
But they also confirmed the guy that played
Vigilante.
Yes.
Yeah. Because basically you can just anybody from any DC character that appeared in Peacemaker is going to be
fine.
In the DC
good.
universe.
I want more Peacemaker. I'm happy to live in that DC universe. Is there anyone they are missing? Is my question. Do we feel
you mean from the previous continuity?
No, right? I'm saying that that you need in the new James Gunn movies. Is there anyone that is missing?
You mean an existing actor, right? You mean somebody that should keep their job.
Actor that should keep their job. Anyone? No. Don't say Ezra Miller, Mark Stern. No. Ezra Miller does not keep their job. No.
I think Gal Gadot is an excellent Wonder Woman, and I think that she hasn't really had. She had one great movie and then kind of nothing.
Okay, hot take on Gal Gadot. Go ahead, Damon. Sorry.
So I was going to say, no, it was not the major. I was going to say mediocre second movie. That's all.
Now,
mediocre second movie, guest appearance in The Flash.
Yeah.
And it's like, and Batman versus Superman, we don't even need to discuss. But,
outside of that first Wonder Woman movie,
too.
I don't think she's been
Shazam too, right?
Yeah. Outside of that first Wonder Woman movie, I do not think Gal Gadot has been good in that role at all. I think she's been completely tacked on, phoning it in. Barely care.
Well, I think she's wasted. I don't think that.
I hope that's it.
With her. I think it's a problem with.
I hope that's it.
I think she's just been given bad scripts, and bad, bad lines.
I mean,
and
look,
story arcs. So,
Justice League is.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, Damon, go
please.
Sorry. No, you go.
All I was going to say was that basically all of her appearances have been nothing burgers. If you think about it, outside of her own movie.
Yeah,
that's it. So.
Yeah. I think that Justice League is a bad movie, but I don't think Gal Gadot is bad in Justice League. As playing the character of Wonder Woman, she does a great job.
She was fine. I thought she was fine.
Again, that's the problem with the material, not the actor.
Maybe, but then how do we know if we have one good movie that she's good in and everything else she's done is mediocre? How do we know it's just the material? Because I would argue Momoa was still a very charismatic Aquaman in a terrible movie. He was a bright spot. I liked him.
I think it's the same way that if you go through your day and you meet nothing but assholes, that you're the asshole.
But at the same time, look, Affleck as Batman was pretty goddamn good in a bunch of bad movies. Affleck was pretty fucking good.
Well, yeah, I think that, but Matt, I think that's the point. I think that's the point that proves it, is that casting was not the problem of the Snyderverse outside of Ezra.
Yeah, outside of Ezra Miller. And I'm not even the personal stuff. I hate that Flash performance.
Everyone was but everyone was good, even Cavill as Superman. And it is a travesty that these actors did not get a chance to play these roles in films that properly represented their abilities.
Right.
I agree.
Or the character.
I agree.
And I think
about it even worse.
Wonder Woman had one.
Right.
Proves that she's good in that role.
Correct.
And I think that. Oh, sorry, Damon. Go.
I was going to say is that, and you think about it, it's also even more of a travesty when you realize that they basically wasted years of their acting primes.
Yeah.
I mean, a decade, right?
That doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
And so, and that's why I think the actors that Gunn has so far revealed, kind of latecomers to the DCEU, if you will, make perfect sense. Or it makes sense. You don't need to recast Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller doesn't need to be a young woman.
No.
It doesn't matter if it takes place in the past.
And quite honestly, I don't think anybody's going to do it better than Viola Davis.
Yes. And, CCH Pounder, who
not as
was
famous,
the voice of Amanda Waller.
Yeah, not as famous.
I don't give a shit how famous she is.
True. Yeah.
But I think it doesn't make sense as much. I like Jason Momoa in general. I understand that at playing Aquaman versus playing any other character he's ever played, it's all the same. He's Jason Momoa.
Sure.
But it doesn't make sense to me to keep Jason Momoa.
That's not true. You didn't watch the last Fast movie. He is amazing in that film as the bad guy.
No. I'm not that's not a dig. I like Jason Momoa. That's not a dig.
I know, I get it, but he's not playing Jason Momoa at all. He's doing something different.
But he doesn't bring anything to Aquaman that I think we would be missing out on.
No,
is the thing.
No, I agree.
And I think if we're getting a new, younger DC universe, it doesn't make sense to keep Jason Momoa or Ben Affleck, obviously.
Well, Ben Affleck for sure, but Jason Momoa.
Well, we know he's out, but Momoa, no.
I mean,
but Gal Gadot is a character like
Affleck.
With the Atlanteans, you could say they age differently or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I guess that's
they're
true.
magic,
and there's no reason.
Right?
There's no reason why Aquaman can't be 10 years older than Superman.
Sure.
There's no rule against it.
70 years older. I mean, they're magic. Who knows? They've been around a long time.
I just hope that the next Jimmy Olsen isn't 30 years old and then gets immediately shot in the face. Because I really kind of want Jimmy Olsen to be in the new DC.
Yeah, I hope this one gets run over by a steamroller. They do it right this time,
There
you go. He gets eaten by a giant snapping turtle.
Yes.
You snap the car.
Stepped on by Titanic.
A giant snapping turtle with car spray painted on his back with 2 R's, and it's just an Easter egg.
There you go.
Oh shit! There he is, a snapper car. No, I think it's a smart decision what they're doing, definitely, and I have no problem with these characters rolling over. There was a bunch of crybabies, and I'll let you guess what gang they're members of. But they took all the woke members, brought them to the. Shut up! Oh my God! Shut up!
Peacemaker super woke, man.
Yeah. Tell me about it. As woke as they come, right?
Yeah.
No. So
he doesn't care how many babies he has to murder for peace. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Woke. Yeah.
But he finally put his foot down and he's like, look, these movies start with the Creature Commandos, which is going to be a fun thing that sort of leads into Superman.
The universe. It starts with the cartoon.
Yeah.
Right.
I think finally, and that was the plan from day one. It was. And Warner Brothers was like, gee, can you just not say anything for another 15 minutes? We want to see if we can squeeze another $200,000 out of, of Shazam, please.
Yeah. And you're right. And I think that James Gunn, I love that he's very candid, but also he knows how to play it. He knows how to play the crowd, right? He knows how to play the audience, the internet.
Well, he's also got to play the corporate game too. So they're
right. But I mean, he understands that everybody yelling about how nothing makes sense. They're putting out Aquaman 2 when they're relaunching the universe and blah. Like, James Gunn has understood that there is a plan in place since day one, and like everybody needs to calm down. And so I think I've seen him actually say stuff like, "I promise you, we've got this figured out, and things will become more clear as more projects get closer or are released, like Creature Commandos. We will understand." We will get a real sense of the DC universe. I like that he also he just flat out came out and said nothing before Creature Commandos is canon.
Yeah, that's what I just mentioned.
And if you see Jaime Reyes played by the same actor, or John Cena played by Peacemaker, or Peacemaker played by John Cena, etc., it's a different version. It's the DCU's version of the character.
Right. It's a new character. Just happens to be
I mean, with Peacemaker, I think we can just don't fucking worry about Peacemaker. It clearly is its own thing.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And if you you can't make your brain go, but Aquaman 2, how is it part of the plan? It's not part of the plan. Okay.
Right.
Stop banging your head against the wall. You're just going to hurt yourself. It's not part of the plan. Right.
And it's I see, Mark, I disagree. Mark says, I love Gunn, but probably should take some of his statements with a grain of salt. I think Gunn,
I agree with you 100%, Mark. I'm on your team.
No, I mean, I understand that he's playing in the corporate game, but James Gunn is more honest than anybody else involved in the making of superhero movies has ever been. Kevin Feige flat out lies to people and the press.
That's true.
You can't trust a goddamn thing that company says. But James Gunn is like, look, this is when it starts. I've told you this 1,000 times. It's been 2 years since I got hired. Calm the fuck down.
And he could have said this week, time, you'll see when it's time. You'll see when it's time.
Right.
You'll
see,
with
exactly.
these things.
And instead he said, this stuff doesn't count. If you see John Cena, it's a different John Cena. Don't worry about it.
These actors are the same, but their old stories don't count.
Yeah,
that's
right.
It.
Yes,
but he needs some content to come out to get people to.
I think he's in a tough spot, right? I think that's on Warner Brothers. Obviously,
it's on Warner Brothers,
and it's like, well, we gotta put out Shazam 2, and we're already knee deep in Aquaman 2, and we got this Blue Beetle movie, and I don't know, the Flash. They could have just flushed the Flash down the biggest pit they could find.
They could have flushed all of these down that pit. They could have let them all go. They didn't make any money, and they got embarrassed. They didn't make any money. And now they have to.
Yeah, but I don't think DC's embarrassed about it.
I think they are, because now they have to deal with we got to relaunch our universe and hope that everybody is on board enough after not going to 4 movies. After literally saying, none of us want to see the last 4 movies you put out. And I'm counting Aquaman 2. It's going to fail. I'm telling you right now, it's going to bomb. So, I mean, that's terrifying. They've got to be terrified. I don't admire the position he's in at all. I hope he can do what it takes to turn things around, and I think a Superman movie is the best way to do that, because people are going to go out of morbid curiosity one way or another. It better be great. It better be friggin' great.
Otherwise, they're going to have Metamorpho with it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and Guy Gardner.
Automatic Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner, baby. Mr. Terrific and his terrific balls.
But yeah, like Joe, you were saying earlier, though, the thing that they can set it apart, don't overanalyze everything. Don't dig in. We don't need to see a backstory for every single thing. Just, this is a world. It has superheroes in it. Some of you may recognize them. Go. That's all you got to do.
DC has the benefit. Well, Marvel does too, to a degree. But like, if you remember, in 2008, you could ask 10 people on the street who Tony Stark is, and maybe 2 of them could tell you.
Right.
And now everyone on Earth can tell you that Tony Stark is Iron Man. But DC, if you would ask 10 people on the street who Clark Kent is, 12 people would tell you he's Superman.
Sure.
You know,
they have the exact opposite problem.
DC is dealing with practically mythological, iconic characters.
Yes.
And so I think that there's a built-in audience of people that are going to go see a DC movie that's got Batman, Wonder Woman, or Superman in it, no matter what.
I agree. Hey, Rad Gang Hang today. I got to get out of here. You're more than welcome to hang as long as you would like. This was great, though. Had a good time. Love catching up with you kids. This week, we are doing our Blue Beetle Cosmic Long Box, so watch for that. It's been long promised. I apologize it hasn't happened. I'm forcing Joe to do it. Turns out.
I wanted him to just let us do anything else.
We'll
Transformer. We could have done all Transformers comics.
We're gonna do Transformers next week. We talk about the new one. It's gonna be the biggest comic book that's ever existed. So
I've already read it, and it's great.
Excellent. We'll get there.
Cool.
Guys, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Yeah.